Hi aspirants, welcome to a new lecture. In this lecture, number 36, we will discuss a new and important topic, Model Tenancy Act 2021 in GS Mains Paper 2. This topic is quite relevant for CS Mains Examination 21. Please watch this video till the end. What is the Model Tenancy Act 2021? The Model Tenancy Act 2021 aims to create an effective regulatory ecosystem in India to govern landlord-tenant relationships. The Union Cabinet in June 2021 approved the Model Tenancy Act 2021 for circulation to all states and union territories for adoption by way of enacting new legislation amending the existing rental laws. India's high vacant stock of total residential census houses can be brought within the fold of formal rental housing once this act is implemented by states and union territories in lateral sphere. The relationship between landlord and tenants has been tainted due to trust issues in the past, as there was no uniform rental housing law in the country. Despite many states adopting the Rent Control Act in the past, there was a need for a dispute resolution mechanism, as tenancy laws in India are popularly perceived as pro-tenant. The absence of a regulatory framework to demarcate the rights and obligations of both parties has always resulted in long-drawn legal battles. As most of the population in top 8 cities lives in informal sector housing accommodation, just repeating it, as most of the population in top 8 cities lives in informal rental housing accommodation, concerning the new act, it will provide a huge opportunity for private housing operators and institutional investors in the organized rental housing market. Once this act is implemented across the country, India may be ready to introduce rental housing models such as build to rent and rent to own. The Model Tenancy Act 2021 will go a long way in the history of Indian real estate to create an efficient and transparent rental housing marketplace over the long haul. Now, what are the key features of the Model Tenancy Act? First is creation of a three-tier redressal system. This act will introduce rent authorities, rent court, and rent tribunals. These regulatory institutions will reduce the burden of tenancy disputes from the civil courts and help in speedy dispute resolution. Second, security deposit demand cap. The Act places a limit to the security deposit that is to be paid by a tenant in advance to first, not exceed 2 months rent in case of residential premises and not exceed 6 months rent in case of non-residential premises. Third, rights and obligations of landlords and tenants. The do's and don'ts of each party, landlords and tenants, are clearly defined, covering various aspects including retention of original tenancy agreements, rents and other charges payable, repair and maintenance of the property, entry into premises, besides information and duties of the property manager and consequences of violation of necessary duties. Fourth, eviction of tenants and recovery of possession of premises by the landlord. In the past, rent control acts of various states such as Delhi Rent Control Act and Maharashtra Rent Control Act provided grounds for eviction that was highly disputed in the court of law. This often led to protracted litigation. By limiting the grounds for eviction and termination of tenancies, this Act seeks to bring a consistent approach towards addressing these issues at the ground level. Fifth, role of property managers. The Model Tenancy Act 2021 clearly defines the role of property managers, their duties, and the consequences they face in case of any violations. The Act will require property managers to furnish details such as name, PAN number, Aadhaar number, address, and contact details registered with the rent authorities. Any individual or legal entity, including the rental agent who acts on behalf of the landlord to manage the premises and represents him in dealings with the tenant, will be included here. This act will provide more opportunities for property managers going forward, especially in the residential sector. Now we will discuss what are the challenges in the implementation of the Model Tenancy Act 2021. First, meaning of premises. The Act defines a premise as a building or a part of a building intended to be given out on rent except a hotel, lodging or property in industrial use. It states where the Rent Control Act is in place and where urban dwellings like slums, chawls were previously covered may have to define it clearly under the state level laws to provide protection to both tenants and landlords. Second, non-applicability for certain types of premises. The Model Tenancy Act 2021 has largely kept properties owned by central state government, union territory administration, local authorities, government enterprises, any property owned by some religious or charitable institutes away from its purview. This will keep a large inventory of leasable properties away from the regulatory framework. Third, force majeure. Since the Act deals with both commercial and residential, it would be better to address both types of transactions under the force majeure clause. Merely stating what would constitute force majeure and linking the same with habitability only may not help the stakeholders. Fourth, digital platform creation by the rent authority. In the digital age, availability of information in real time is instrumental for informed decision making. For a robust digital infrastructure, a central database can be created which can be managed by states and union territories, which can be a holistic way to retrieve or store tenancy-related information. This database can also be enhanced to include additional information about landlords and tenants' past tenancy history, which can be an important quality indicator for future use for interested parties. The Act deals with both residential and commercial property. The framework brings in an intention and promise to give impetus to boosting investment in both these sectors and balances the rights and obligations of the stakeholders, including speedy relief in case of disputes. That is all for now. There are many exciting changes to come and we are looking forward to sharing them with you. As always, we welcome any feedback as how we can better serve you for a stellar performance in civil services exams. Thank you for continuing to be a part of our journey. Keep evolving.